Hey guys, it's Alex with Hammond Watch. I'm here today with the Hamilton Field limited edition for Hodinkee. The reference number on this piece was H89469930. It was limited to 1,000 pieces. They did sell out on the first day, but luckily I was able to pick one up, and I wanted to share it with you guys today because I think it's a pretty cool watch overall. If you've ever purchased a Hamilton Field mechanical, a lot of the packaging is going to feel really familiar. Underneath this sleeve, it's really just your traditional inner and outer box. The outer sleeve does reference their collaboration with Hodinkee, and then uses this pop of orange, which kind of ties into the seconds hand used against the dial, but we'll dig a little deeper into the dial later. One of the cool additions that they sent with it, they had 3 48-page little memo books or field note books. They're pretty interesting, you know, not something that I'm really going to use, but I understand it kind of goes with the overall theme. And one of the coolest parts about these is that each cover features a little bit of luminescent printing. Doesn't add a ton of value to the overall package, but I think it's a pretty cool little touch and a nice addition to get when you're buying a collaboration watch. When it comes to the dimensions of the watch, a lot of this is going to be very familiar. You're looking at a 38mm case with a 46mm lug tip to lug tip. The drilled lug holes are a little closer to 43.6, 43.7 millimeters. So it's got a really nice petite wear. You have a thickness of 9.7 or just a hair over with that domed crystal. And then a fairly large signed crown at 6.5 millimeters. It is just push-pull, and you get winding at that first position. You have a standard lug width of 20 millimeters, so strap options will be plentiful. The strap itself feels pretty nice. It's a khaki canvas strap with some leather reinforcing. It tapers down to 18 millimeters, and then it jumps up to about 22.5 at the buckle. The buckle is honestly one of the things that I kind of dislike the most on this watch, and not to get too nitpicky, but overall the case has a really nice bead blasted finish. It makes it a nice matte tone. And then moving over to the buckle, it's all brushed out with some polishing on the bottom. To me, it doesn't really fit the overall aesthetic, and it really just feels more like a strap that they already had that they threw on the watch, as opposed to something that was very kind of specifically intended for this setup. That said, relatively small gripe. You know, this will get scratched up in time, and overall, I really don't think it'll matter. But you have that kind of more modern Hamilton text versus having the vintage logos on the crown and dial. The case back is nice and plain, as you would expect on a kind of a military themed watch. You have Hamilton, some general specifications around the outer rim and identifying numbers. And then you have the limited edition for Hodinkee, where you can see these are numbered pieces out of 1,000. The 996, so the underrated Porsche of this particular line. Behind this screw down case back, which does offer 50 meters of water resistance, you have an H50. It's a hand wind movement. It's time only. It's based on the ETA 2801-2. They did slow it down to 21,600 VPH, and that was in efforts to gain the 80-hour power reserve. You know, that doesn't bother me, especially with more of a military theme. I think you'd want more utility than anything else. So sacrificing a cleaner sweep to gain a little more practicality, I think in general fits the theme overall. Like with most watches, I really feel like the dial is the star of the show here. That nice matte black finish offers great visibility, and I think they balance the white printing with the cream color lume extremely well. The pop of orange you get from that seconds hand with that large lollipop counterbalance really ties everything in together. It does give it kind of a tough military aesthetic. If I had one complaint, it would be that with most Hamilton khaki field watches, you're looking at a bit of a shine. You know, they sacrifice a little legibility, especially with the crystal. It's not a huge concern with this particular watch because that dial helps to gobble up that sunlight, and those polished hands help you to not really lose your ability to tell time. But I would have liked to have seen an application of clear anti-reflective coating on the underside. Or if they did have it on this one and I'm not aware, maybe just a stronger application to tone it down. But overall, that's a pretty small nitpick. You're not really going to be sacrificing much legibility. While I typically describe Hamilton field watches as having adequate lume, I will say the application on this piece does appear to be just a touch better. I'm not having as much trouble keeping my camera in focus, and it does seem to last deeper into the evening. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the aesthetic. I love that they did the numbers as well as the outer track markers. And the hands also have a very nice vivid green glow. So here's the watch on my 7.5 to 7 3/4 inch wrist. And as you can see, even for a 38mm watch, it's got a great wrist presence. It's very comfortable due to that thin profile. And I feel like the strap is going to be really nice once it's completely broken in. That said, I'll probably switch it over to leather. I don't know how long I'll hang on to this watch. So I'll try to keep that stock strap intact in case I end up moving it down the road. Overall, I really do like this watch. I think they were AR coating in a bead blasted buckle with the vintage text away from this watch being pretty close to perfect. That said, I think it's forgivable, especially when you start considering the retail price of $595. That's what you're going to pay for most Hamilton khaki field watches in a retail setting. So there wasn't a crazy markup. Them being sold out, I did peek around on the secondary market, and on eBay it looks like I saw some of the better prices with bids going between $850 and $900, so there is a little bit of premium there. But overall, it's certainly not the worst I've seen for a Hodinkee collaboration. And I appreciate that while 1,000 may not be extremely limited, it is a lot better than what you see from some other major brands where their limited editions churn out 2,000-3,000 units. One last thing I did want to touch on, this being the Hamilton khaki field platform, I have seen posts about water damage and heavy rains and very light moisture situations. I've never experienced that myself. This being a push-pull crown and 50 meters of water resistance, outside of walking in the rain and washing your hands, I wouldn't do any type of swimming in this particular piece. But I really don't think that that's what this is for. For me, this is going to go on a leather strap and just be worn in casual and maybe some light dress situations. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. It really helps in YouTube's algorithm. Also, consider subscribing. Put watch content out weekly at a minimum, and I hope to see you in the next one.